The stars were cold and far away. Between them moved a great shape, silent and heavy. It was the alien beast. Some called a monster. Others called it shadow of death. But no one called it friend. The beast had once walked with its own kind, strong and proud. It had fought battles. It had hunted across broken worlds. But time had changed everything. Its pack was gone. Some were killed. Some had turned against it. The rest had simply left, leaving the beast to wander alone. It drifted from world to world, always searching, never finding. When it appeared, people ran. Ships fled. Hunters tried to kill it. Planets set traps to drive it away. But the beast survived, though with many scars. Its body was covered with marks of fire and claw. Its heart carried heavier wounds, wounds of silence, hunger, and loneliness. On one forgotten night, the beast stood on the ruins of an old battlefield. The air was dry. The ground was burned. Bones lay under the dust. There was no sound but the slow breath of the wind. The beast looked around. No voices. No pack. No home. It lifted its head and gave a long, deep call to the empty stars. The sound rolled across the wasteland, but nothing answered. Only silence came back. The beast lowered its head again. Its massive body shook. It wanted to lie down and never rise again. But then, far in the distance, a flicker caught its eyes. A weak signal. A light, almost too small to notice. It was not the beacon of a warship. It was not the flare of a city. It was softer, warmer, a pulse of life. The beast tilted its head. Its great ears twitched. For reasons it could not explain, it turned toward the light. Step by step, it began to walk. Its claws scratched the rock. Its tail dragged behind like a broken chain. It followed the faint glow as if something inside pulled it forward. Far away, on a quiet colony world at the edge of human space, a man lived alone in a broken farmhouse. His name did not matter to most, because most people in the town thought he was strange. He did not marry. He did not join the colony council. He did not work in the mines or fields like others. Instead, he spent his days caring for creatures no one else wanted. The farmhouse was never empty. Inside lived 47 strays. Some were earthborn, dogs with missing legs, cats with torn ears, birds with broken wings. Some were alien, tiny lizard creatures, a two-eyed fox from the Red Hills, even a feathered beast that once fled a circus. Each had been left behind. Each had been thrown away. And each had been taken in by the human. At night, the farmhouse glowed faintly with soft light. The animals curled together in warmth. The human walked slowly among them, feeding, cleaning, and whispering quiet words. For him, this was enough. He had no family, but he had his strays. 47 lives depended on him, and he gave them everything he had. But outside, in the endless dark, something else was coming closer. Something that had no family either. Something that had no place left in the galaxy. The beast walked through forests and rivers, over stone and sand. It left prints deeper than any machine. Birds flew from the trees when they saw its shadow. Small animals hid in fear. But the beast kept moving, step after heavy step, following that strange light. Sometimes it stopped and looked back. Its mind was full of old memories. Packmates who had left, fights it had lost, cries that had never been answered. It wondered if this light would also end in nothing. But still it walked. At last, it climbed a low ridge and looked down. Below, on the plain, stood the farmhouse. Its roof was cracked. Its walls leaned with age. But warm light spilled from the windows. From inside came the soft sound of life. Dogs barking, cats meowing, small wings fluttering. The beast froze. Its heart pounded. This was not a trap. This was not a war camp. This was something else. Slowly, It lowered itself to the ground and waited in the shadows. Its glowing eyes watched the little house, the human moving inside, the creatures gathered around. The beast could smell food, warmth, and trust. These things were strange to it. Too strange. The beast growled low in its chest. Part of it wanted to run. Another part wanted to step forward. For the first time in many years, the beast did not know what to do. The night grew darker. The farmhouse lights burned steady. Inside, the human lifted a tiny alien pup into his arms and whispered softly to it. Outside, the beast crouched alone in the grass, torn between fear and longing. It was the loneliest shadow in the galaxy. But soon, its path would cross with the only human who never turned anyone away. And that moment was almost here. The night was still. The only sound was the soft breathing of 47 strays inside the old farmhouse. Dogs snored. Cats purred. Small alien critters made soft chirps in their sleep. Then the ground began to tremble. It was not the wind. It was not a passing storm. Something heavy moved through the fields, step after step. Loose boards in the walls rattled. Dust fell from the ceiling beams. The strays woke one by one, ears sharp, eyes wide. The dogs growled low. The cats arched their backs. The alien fox hissed. Even the little feathered beast flapped its wings in fear. All of them turned toward the door, sensing what was outside. The human, standing in the small kitchen, felt the vibration under his feet. He put down his cup, walked calmly to the door, and listened. The tremors grew louder. The earth seemed to shake with each step. He looked back at the strays. "Stay calm," he whispered. "Stay close." Outside, the beast stopped at the edge of the field, its glowing eyes fixed on the light spilling from the farmhouse windows. It could hear the voices of small creatures inside. It could smell warmth and food. But more than that, it could sense something it had never felt before: safety. Yet safety was not for it. The beast had always been driven away, always hunted, always feared. Still it stepped closer. The human opened the farmhouse door. The wooden hinges creaked. Cold night air rolled in. He stepped outside with slow, steady steps. His eyes lifted, and then he saw it. A massive shadow towered over the field, taller than the farmhouse, heavier than any animal he had ever known. Its body was scarred and rough. Its teeth glimmered in the faint light. The strays inside barked and hissed, warning him to run. But the human did not move back. He simply looked up, calm and steady. The beast lowered its head. Its hot breath rose like steam in the night air. Its claws sank into the soil. Every instinct told it to strike before being struck. That was how it had survived. But the human did not lift a weapon. His hands stayed at his sides. His voice came soft and clear. "You look lost," he said. "If you mean no harm, you can come in." The beast froze. The words made no sense. No one had ever spoken to it like that. No one had ever invited it closer. The human stood in silence, waiting. Behind him, 47 strays pressed against the doorway, watching with wide eyes. The beast growled low, confused. It took one step forward, then stopped. The ground shook beneath its weight. The human did not flinch. "You don't have to stay out there," the human whispered. "But you have to choose. Attack or enter in peace." The air was tense. The strays whined and barked. The beast's heart pounded. Memories rushed through its mind. Hunters firing weapons, enemies setting traps, even its own kind turning their backs. Every memory screamed, "This is danger." And yet, something about the human was different. His scent carried no fear. His eyes carried no hate. His voice carried no command. The beast stepped forward again. Slowly, carefully, the human stepped aside, leaving the doorway open. The farmhouse shook as the massive body crossed the threshold. Inside, the strays scattered to corners, eyes glowing with fear. The air filled with the sound of growls and hisses. But the human raised a hand. "Quiet," he said softly. "This one is tired." The beast stood in the middle of the room, breathing heavy. Its glowing eyes scanned a strange sight. Creatures of all kinds living together under one roof. None fought. None hunted each other. All shared the same space. It was impossible. And yet, here it was. The beast's claws scratched the wooden floor. The smallest of the strays, a tiny alien pup with 4 ears and bright silver fur, tilted its head. While the others trembled in fear, this pup waddled forward on shaky legs. It squeaked softly and pressed its nose to the beast's massive paw. The room went silent. The beast looked down. Its claws could crush the little thing with a single twitch. Instinct told it to strike. Instinct told it to protect itself. But something inside shifted. It did nothing. The pup climbed onto its paw, sniffed, and curled up as if it had found the safest place in the world. The beast blinked, stunned. It had never been trusted before. Not by anything. The human stepped closer. "See," he said gently. "You don't have to be alone anymore." The beast lifted its head. Its glowing eyes met the human's calm gaze. Something heavy in its chest loosened, like a chain breaking after many years. But outside, in the distance, shadows moved. Strange eyes watched the farmhouse from beyond the trees. Hunters, silent and patient, had found what they were looking for, and they were waiting for the right moment to strike. The farmhouse groaned under the weight of silence. 47 strays pressed themselves against walls, corners, and shadows, their eyes wide with fear. A monster stood in their home. The beast's body filled the room like a storm trapped in a box. Its scars glistened under the low light. Its breath rattled like thunder. Every animal inside expected teeth and claws at any moment. But nothing happened. The human stood between the beast and the frightened strays. His voice was calm, steady, as if he was introducing an old friend. "Welcome," he said simply. "This is my house. And these are my family." The beast tilted its head. The word family was strange to it. Long ago, it had known a pack. Long ago, it had known voices that called its name. But all of that was gone. Only silence had remained. Until now. The beast's glowing eyes swept across the farmhouse. It saw a crippled dog with one leg missing, a scarred cat with half an ear, a bird with a bent wing. Alien creatures, too, some with scales, some with feathers, some with strange little horns. All broken, all abandoned, yet all alive. They huddled together, not fighting, not fleeing. They trusted the human, and the human trusted them. The beast did not understand. In its world, the weak were left behind. In its world, the broken were forgotten. Yet here, the broken had a place. The smallest stray, the silver-furred alien pup, still rested on the beast's paw. It looked up with shining eyes, unafraid. The beast lowered its massive head, sniffed the tiny creature, and let it stay. A deep rumble rose from its chest. Not a growl, but something softer, almost like a sigh. The human smiled. "Good," he whispered. "That's good." The other strays slowly relaxed. Their growls softened. Their hisses faded. A dog stepped forward, sniffed the beast's leg, and wagged its tail. Then another joined, and another. Bit by bit, the fear in the room thinned. The beast stood still, letting them approach. For the first time in its life, it did not strike. It did not push away. It simply stood there, surrounded by creatures who should have feared it, but chose instead to test its kindness. The human moved to the table and pulled out a piece of food, simple bread, torn in half. He placed it on a dish and slid it across the floor. "You must be hungry," he said. "Eat." The beast lowered its head. Its jaws opened wide. teeth shining in the lamplight. The strays froze, afraid again. But the beast did not snap. It bent down and, with surprising care, picked up the bread. It chewed slowly, swallowing without waste. The human nodded. That's better. The farmhouse grew quieter. The strays lay down again, though their eyes never left the newcomer. The human began tending to them one by one, refilling bowls, checking wounds, giving soft words. He moved among them with patience, as he always had. But tonight, something was different. Tonight, there was a giant shadow watching from the corner. The beast's eyes followed his every move. It could not understand. Why would a human spend his life on creatures that gave nothing back? Why feed the weak? Why heal the broken? The answer came when the human sat down, tired but calm, a small smile on his face as the strays curled up against him. He whispered to no one in particular. Nobody deserves to be alone. The beast felt the words like a strike to its chest. Nobody deserves to be alone. For years, it had believed the opposite, that loneliness was its fate, its punishment. But now, in this small farmhouse, a new thought flickered. Maybe not. The pup on its paw yawned and fell asleep. The beast did not move, afraid to wake it. Hours passed. The night grew deeper. The human closed his eyes in his chair, surrounded by 47 strays. And now, perhaps by one more. But outside, in the shadows beyond the farmhouse, the air stirred. Strange shapes moved among the trees. Cold eyes glowed in the dark. The beast's ears twitched. Its nose flared. Danger was near. It turned its head toward the window. Somewhere out there, something was waiting, watching. The human shifted in his sleep, unaware. The strays snored softly, safe in their trust. Only the beast remained awake, silent and alert. For the first time in years, it had found warmth. For the first time, it had found a place that did not reject it. And now, something outside wanted to take that away. The beast lowered its head again, the tiny pup breathing gently on its paw. A promise burned inside its chest. If the danger came, it would not run. Not this time. Not from here. Because maybe, just maybe, this house of strays was no longer just a human's family. Maybe it was the beast's family, too. And it would not let anyone take that away. The dawn came slow over fields. Pale light spilled through the broken windows of the farmhouse. 47 strays stretched, yawned, and shuffled awake. The human rose from his chair with tired eyes, brushing dust from his clothes. But the beast had not slept. It remained in the corner all night, massive body hunched, golden eyes never closing. It had listened to every sound, the soft breaths of the strays, the whisper of wind, the faint movements outside the farmhouse. Danger was near. The beast could feel it. When the human looked at it, he saw something else too. He saw pain. Scars crossed the beast's hide like rivers of fire. Some were old, faded and gray. Others were fresh, still red and raw. One great wound along its side oozed slowly, refusing to heal. The human stepped forward. His strays followed, circling the giant cautiously. He held up a hand to calm them. Then he knelt in front of the beast. "You've carried these wounds too long," he said softly. "If they're left alone, they'll kill you." The beast growled, low in warning. Its kind never allowed weakness to show. Injuries meant death. Injuries meant being cast out. But the human did not move back. "I won't hurt you," he whispered. "Let me help." From a small wooden box, the human took out old supplies, rolls of cloth, bottles of medicine, tools from earth long forgotten by most. His hands were steady, practiced from years of healing strays. The beast's eyes narrowed. Its chest rumbled. Its claws scraped the floor. But when the human placed a warm hand on its side, it did not strike. The touch was gentle, careful, not like the sharp grips of hunters. not like the cruel chains of slavers. The human's hand pressed firm but kind. The beast flinched when the wound was cleaned. Pain burned hot. Its jaw opened in a silent roar. The strays tensed, ready to scatter. But the beast did not lash out. It held still. "Easy," the human said, voice calm. "You've survived worse. This will pass." He wrapped the wound with clean cloth, tied it with careful knots, and applied medicine to stop the infection. Then he stepped back, his work done. The beast blinked, confused. The pain was still there, but lighter, softer. For years, it had endured injuries that never healed, because no one cared enough to heal them. Now, for the first time, someone did. The human looked into its eyes. "You've been fighting too long. Alone. No creature should live like that." The word struck deeper than any weapon. The beast lowered its head. It remembered its pack, long gone. It remembered voices fading into silence. It remembered every betrayal, every wound that no hand had ever treated. And in that moment, something strange happened. The great shadow trembled, not from fear, not from anger, but from memory. The strays sensed it. They gathered close, pressing against the beast's legs, resting near its claws. A scarred dog lay against its tail. The little silver pup climbed higher onto its shoulder. The beast looked down, confused, as warmth spread around it. For the first time, it was not alone in its pain. The human stood, wiping blood from his hands. "You're safe here." But safety doesn't last forever. "Out there," he pointed to the fields, "someone is watching. I can feel it." The beast's ears twitched. Yes, he was right. The hunters were out there. The ones who wanted its head, its hide, its bones. The ones who had followed across worlds. It growled, a deep sound that shook the floor. Its claws dug into the wood. The human met its eyes. "If they come, we'll face them together. You are not just another stray. You are part of this house now." The beast's heart thundered. The word part echoed in his mind. Not prey, not weapon, not monster. Part of this house. Outside, the morning light grew brighter. Shadows slipped between trees at the edge of the land. The hunters were waiting, watching, preparing. The beast turned its head toward the window. Its breath steamed. Its wounds burned under the bandages, but its spirit burned hotter. This place, the farmhouse, the strays, the human, was no longer just a shelter. It was something greater, something it had lost long ago. A pack, a family, and if the hunters came, it would fight not for survival alone. It would fight for them. Inside the farmhouse, the strays gathered close, sensing the storm ahead. The human placed his hand on the beast's scarred hide, steady and firm. "Rest while you can," he said. "The peace won't last." The beast lowered itself to the ground, surrounded by small, fragile lives that trusted it. Its eyes closed halfway, heavy with exhaustion, but its ears stayed sharp. It knew the truth. The hunters would strike soon, and when they did, the lonely shadow would no longer stand alone. The sun was sinking. Long shadows stretched across the broken fields around the farmhouse. The strays rested in quiet corners. The human sat by the door, carving wood with steady hands. The beast crouched in the barn, its glowing eyes fixed on the tree lean. It could feel them. They had been there since dawn. Patient, silent, waiting. The hunters. For weeks, they had tracked the beast across star systems. It was a prize every mercenary dreamed of, the most feared creature in the sector, were the fortune dead or alive. They had failed to catch it before, but now they had cornered it. The human had felt their presence too. His hands never shook, but his eyes often drifted to the horizon. He was not surprised when the first ship appeared above the field. The vessel was black, sharp-edged, its engines humming low. It hovered just out of reach. casting a long shadow over the farmhouse. Then came the others, 3 smaller craft landing in the grass, their doors hissing open. Figures stepped out, armored, armed, mercenaries with steel in their voices and greed in their eyes. The strays stirred, dogs growled, cats hissed. Even the little alien pup bared its tiny teeth. The human rose slowly and stepped outside, standing in front of his broken fence, his farmhouse behind him, his strays at his side, the beast watching from the barn. The leader of the hunters walked forward. His helmet was scarred. His rifle glowed with fresh charge. He smiled coldly when he saw the human. "Step aside," the leader called. "That thing you're hiding belongs to us." The human did not move. His voice was calm, almost quiet. "This land is mine. That house is mine. Everyone inside is mine to protect. You will not touch them." The hunters laughed. One spat into the dirt. Another raised a weapon toward the barn. "You think you can stop us?" the leader sneered. "One man with a handful of pets?" The human shook his head. "Not just pets. Family." The word made the hunters laugh louder. But their laughter froze when the barn doors groaned open. The beast stepped into the light. Its massive form filled the field. Its golden eyes burned like fire. Its roar shattered the silence, shaking the ground and echoing across the sky. The hunters flinched. Even armored, even armed, they felt fear crawl down their spines. The leader raised his hand. "Steady. It's weak, scarred, wounded. We take it now before it escapes again." The hunters spread out, weapons aimed, forming a circle around the farmhouse. Their boots crushed the grass. Their rifles hummed, charged and ready. The beast lowered its head. Its claws dug deep into the dirt. The strays pressed close to the human, ready to defend the only home they knew. The human's voice cut through the tension. "You want this fight? You'll find more than you bargained for." The hunters fired first. Bolts of energy lit the dusk. The air cracked with heat. The strays scattered for cover. The farmhouse walls shook under blasts. But the beast did not fall. It moved with speed no one expected from its size. A single swipe of its claws tore the ground apart, sending 2 hunters flying. Its roar deafened the rest. The human called out commands, his voice steady even in chaos. "Fox, left side. Birds, high. Dogs, guard the door." The strays obeyed. The alien fox darted through the grass, tripping one mercenary. The crippled dog leapt and bit at another's arm. The birds swarmed, pecking and clawing, blinding shooters. This was not a normal fight. This was a pack defending its den. The hunters cursed, firing wildly. But for every stray they struck, 2 more leapt from the shadows. The farmhouse itself seemed alive with defenders, each creature fighting not for survival, but for home. The leader steadied his rifle and aimed at the human. "Enough games. The man dies first." He pulled the trigger. The bolt of energy flew fast, but faster still was a beast. It lunged in front of the human, its massive body taking the full blast across its side. The impact burned through fur and flesh, but the beast did not fall. Instead, it roared so loud the hunters staggered back. Its eyes burned brighter. Its wounds bled, but its will was stronger. The human placed a hand on its scarred hide. "You're not alone. Fight with us." The beast answered with a thunderous charge. Hunters scattered as it tore through their line, crushing weapons underfoot, slamming armored bodies into the dirt. The strays surged forward too, small but fearless, overwhelming the invaders with claws, teeth, and wings. The farmhouse shook with the fury of battle. Smoke rose. The air burned. But still, the defenders held. The leader stumbled back, rage in his eyes. He had expected a monster. Instead, he found a pack. "This isn't over," he shouted, retreating toward his ship. "We'll be back. We'll burn this place to ash." The surviving hunters scrambled into their craft. Engines roared. The ships lifted, rising into the darkening sky. The beast stood in the field, chest heaving, wounds fresh, blood dripping. But it was alive. The strays gathered close, touching it, pressing against it. The human stood tall at its side, calm even as smoke curled from the ground. The hunters had fled, for now, but they would return, stronger, angrier. And when they did, the battle for the farmhouse would not just be about one beast. It would be about family. The night fell heavy across the colony world. Smoke still lingered in the fields from the hunters' first attack. The strays lay restless in the farmhouse, their bodies bruised but unbroken. The human walked among them, whispering calm words. His hand, steady though his heart, carried the weight of what was to come, because this was not over. Far above, the sky trembled with engines. The hunters had returned, this time not with a handful of ships, but with an army. The leader's voice echoed across the fields through loudspeakers mounted on armored transports. "Human, hand over beast, or we burn your house and everything in it." The strays whimpered, sensing the storm ahead. The beast stood tall beside the farmhouse, its eyes glowing bright against the darkness. Fresh bandages covered its wounds, but pain no longer ruled it. Something stronger did. For the first time in years, it had something to protect. The human stepped forward, his voice clear and steady. "This land is mine. These lives are mine. You will not take them." The hunters laughed over the comms. "Then you will all burn." Engines roared as armored vehicles rolled across the field. Dropships descended, kicking up dust and flame. Dozens of mercenaries poured out, weapons charged, armor gleaming in the moonlight. Their boots thundered across the grass. The farmhouse creaked in the wind, fragile against such power. But inside, 47 strays prepared for war. The human knelt by them, his voice calm. "You've all been thrown away before, but not tonight. Tonight, you fight for home." The strays howled, barked, hissed, and screeched, a broken chorus of courage. The beast raised its head and roared, a sound that shook the hunters to their bones. Then the battle began. The first wave of mercenaries opened fire. Blazing bolts of energy struck the farmhouse walls, tearing wood apart. Windows shattered. Smoke filled the rooms. But the strays did not hide. The alien fox darted to the broken fence, its sharp claws slashing at armored legs. Hunters fell into dirt, cursing. The crippled dog, fierce despite its missing leg, leapt from the porch and sank its teeth into another's arm. Cats swarmed, claws tearing at helmets, eyes glowing like tiny sparks in the night. Above, the feathered beast launched into the air, wings beating against smoke, diving at soldiers with talons sharp as knives. Smaller birds followed, striking like arrows from the dark. The hunters fired wildly, but every shot missed as the strays moved fast, fighting with desperate unity. Then the beast charged. Its massive form crashed into front line, claws tearing, jaws crushing. Armor cracked like brittle shells. Vehicles shook as it slammed into them, ripping weapons from their mounts. Hunters scattered, their courage breaking under its fury. But this was only the beginning. The leader raised his hand. "Bring out the heavies." Two massive walkers stepped down from the dropships, machines built for war, towering metal beasts armed with cannons that glowed with lethal charge. Their footsteps shook the ground. The farmhouse trembled with every blast. Entire walls tore apart. The roof caved in. The strays cried out in fear. The human shouted, his voice rising above the chaos. "Hold the line. Do not break." He ran into the wreckage, pulling strays to safety, his own body shielded by nothing but his will. Debris rained around him, but still he moved, saving life after life. The beast saw him, fragile and small compared to machines, yet fearless. Something deep inside burned hotter. This was not just a fight. This was survival of family. It roared and leapt at the first walker. Its claws tore into metal. Sparks flew. The machine staggered, its cannon firing wildly into the sky. With a final heave, the beast ripped its leg free, sending it crashing to the ground. The hunters gasped in shock. But the second walker fired directly at the farmhouse. The blast struck the roof, exploding in fire. The human shielded two strays with his body as flames roared. The farmhouse groaned, its structure breaking. The beast turned, rage in its chest. It slammed into the second walker, claws ripping, teeth crushing steel. But the machine fought back, its arms smashing into the beast's ribs, breaking bone. The beast staggered. Blood poured from fresh wounds. For a moment, it seemed it would fall. The human ran forward, shouting, "Stand! You are not alone." The strays answered too. The fox bit at exposed wires. Birds pecked at sensors. Cats leapt onto the machine, tearing at joints. Together, small and weak, they distracted it long enough for the beast to strike again. With a roar that shook the night, it drove its claws deep into the walker's chest. Sparks exploded. The machine collapsed, silent and smoking. The battlefield went still for a breath. Then the leader's voice roared, full of fury. "Enough! Burn them all!" Dozens of hunters charged, weapons blazing. The field lit with fire and death. The beast stumbled, bleeding, yet still it stood. Its massive body shielded the human, and strays as bolts tore into its flesh. It roared and struck, crushing soldier after soldier, even as pain tore through it. The human fought too, not with weapons, but with courage. He ran through the smoke, pulling strays from danger, guiding them, shouting commands. His voice was the anchor that held the pack together. The battle raged deep into the night. The farmhouse was nothing but ruins. The fields were scorched and broken. The strays bled, but still they fought. At last, the leader himself stepped onto the field, rifle glowing with deadly charge. He aimed at the human. "You should have stayed out of this," he hissed. He fired. The beast moved without thought. It leapt in front of the human, the blast tearing through its chest. Blood sprayed. Its body shook, but still it stood. It turned its golden eyes on the leader, glowing brighter than fire. With the last of its strength, it charged. The leader fired again and again, each shot striking, each wound deeper. But the beast did not stop. It slammed into him with all its weight, claws tearing through armor, jaws crushing steel. The leader screamed, then fell silent. The battlefield grew still. Smoke drifted. The surviving hunters froze, fear breaking their will. One by one, they dropped their weapons and fled to their ships, engines screaming as they lifted into the sky. Silence fell. The beast stood trembling, blood pouring from its wounds. The human rushed to its side, pressing his hands against the bleeding chest. The strays gathered too, circling, crying, their small bodies pressing close. "You're not leaving us. You're not leaving us," the human whispered, his voice breaking for the first time. "Not now. Not when you finally belong." The beast's eyes dimmed, but they did not close. It lowered its massive head until it rested against the human's chest. Its breath was shallow, but still there. It had fought. It had bled. And for the first time, it had not fought for itself. It had fought for home. And it had won. The battlefield was silent. The night air hung thick with smoke and ash. What had once been green farmland was now blackened earth, littered with shattered weapons, broken metal, and the echoes of violence. The farmhouse, once a place of laughter, shelter, and life, was nothing more than a half-collapsed skeleton of wood and stone. Its roof lay in pieces across the fields, glowing faintly from the embers that refused to die. And in the middle of that ruin, the human knelt beside the beast. Its body trembled with each breath. Blood streaked its fur, pooling beneath it in the dirt. Around them, the strays pressed close, wounded but alive. Some whined, others whimpered. A few hissed in soft defiance at the sky, as if daring the hunters to return. But the hunters were gone. For the first time in years, the beast had no one chasing it. The human placed both hands against the creature's chest, tried to stop the bleeding with nothing more than cloth torn from his shirt. His voice was low, steady, even as tears cut through the soot on his face. "You stay with me," he whispered. "Do you hear me? You're not leaving now. Not when you finally found home." The beast's golden eyes blinked slowly, heavy with exhaustion. It leaned its massive head against the human's shoulder, as if that simple touch was enough reason to keep fighting for one more breath. The strays circled them, forming a ring of life around the two. They had been broken, abandoned, unwanted. But here, in this place, they were a pack. And the beast, once the loneliest shadow in the galaxy, was now one of them. The dawn broke pale and cold. The human worked through the morning, tending to wounds, repairing what little he could. His hands were blistered, his body weak. But he did not stop. He carried water, wrapped bandages, whispered comfort to creatures that had no words but understood his voice all the same. The farmhouse, though half destroyed, still stood. Smoke rose from the ruins, but the earth beneath was steady, and that was enough for him to begin again. The beast lay near the wreckage, wrapped in heavy cloth and patched with crude stitches. Each breath came slow but steady, the sound of survival. The human sat beside it, whispering as the strays rested around them. 47 before you. 47 souls no one wanted. And now 48. The beast's eye flickered open at that number. For a moment, its gaze softened. Not a weapon's glow, not a predator's threat, but the light of something new. Belonging. The days passed. The hunters did not return. Word of their defeat spread fast across the outer colonies, carried by whispers in bars, by frightened deserters, by mercenaries who spoke a nightmare they would never face again. A rumor was born, a human who could tame monsters, a man who sheltered strays and stood against armies, and a beast so fierce it shattered machines of war, but bowed to the touch of one farmer's hand. Some dismissed the story as lies. Others feared it. A few admired it. But all agreed on one thing. The story would not stay quiet. By the second week, the beast could walk again. Its wounds were deep, but its will was deeper. It moved slowly through the broken fields, its massive shadow falling over the smaller strays who followed like pups behind a parent. The human watched from the porch steps, or what was left of them. His lips curled into a tired smile. "You're not just a beast anymore," he said softly. "You're theirs, and they're yours." The strays did not fear it now. The cats brushed against its legs. The crippled dog limped proudly at its side. Even the smallest alien pup climbed onto its paw, curling into the thick fur without hesitation. The beast let it stay. It had once known nothing but fear, loneliness, and rejection. But here it had something new. A pack. A family. One night, as stars burned bright above the ruined farm, the human sat beside the beast and looked toward the sky. "You know they'll come again," he said. His voice was calm, but his eyes held steel. "Not just hunters. Not just mercenaries. Governments, warlords, collectors. They'll all want you, or they'll want to break us because of you." The beast's ears twitched, its golden eyes fixed on the human, waiting. The human smiled faintly. "Then let them come. This is home, and home is worth fighting for." The beast lowered its head, pressing its massive forehead against a man's chest. A silent vow, not just protection, not just loyalty, but kinship. By the first month, the ruins of the farmhouse had become something else. Walls rebuilt with scavenged metal, roof patched with sheets of reinforced steel, trenches dug around the fields, watchtowers crafted from broken machinery. What had been a quiet farm was becoming a fortress, not for conquest, but for defense, not for power, but for survival. The human worked each day with his bare hands, building while the strays carried wood, dragged stone, or kept watch. The beast stood guard at night, its golden eyes glowing across the fields, a warning to anyone who thought to return. The farm was no longer a place of weakness. It was a sanctuary with teeth. And so the story grew louder. A trader passing through told of seeing the beast with his own eyes, towering beside the human, as if they were equal. A smuggler whispered that the hunters who had survived swore never to set foot near that farm again. On distant planets, soldiers and mercenaries spoke the story in hushed voices, unsure if it was a tale or a warning. And in the dark halls of power, men and women who rule with fear began to ask the same question. Who is this human? And how did he tame the galaxy's loneliest beast? One evening, the human sat on the rebuilt porch. Strays gathered around his legs. The air was cool, quiet, filled with the sound of wind through broken trees. The beast lay beside him, larger than life, its breath steady and calm. The human placed a hand on its head and whispered, "They'll never understand, will they? That I didn't tame you, that you chose us." The beast rumbled low in its chest. Agreement. The stars stretched endless above them, a sea of light and silence. Somewhere out there, new threats were stirring. But here, in this small corner of the galaxy, something greater had been born. Not a monster, not a farmer, a pack, a family, and together they would face whatever came. The wind carried the humans' final words into the night. Welcome home, number 48. The beast's golden eyes closed, not in pain, but in peace. For the first time in its life, it slept without fear, and the galaxy itself seemed to hold its breath, waiting, watching, because stories like this never end. They only grow,